Good morning, fellow Toastmasters.
Good morning, Trevor.
Why do people do what they do? Scientists have been asking this question for decades now, and we still have no idea. Why is it that my boss always yells at me for doing the smallest thing wrong? He probably has an anger problem, or maybe he had a bad day at home, or maybe he's just a big fat jerk. Why is it that my coworker always talks to me about her problems? Oh my gosh, I don't care. Maybe she's just really lonely, or she has depression or something. I don't know. She does have 2 cats. Why is it that every time I try to wake up early to exercise, I'm never able to do it? Am I just really lazy? I'm not going to be able to do it. I don't know. I really just don't know. In the end, all of these explanations are not wrong. In the end, none of these explanations are wrong, because it's incredibly difficult for us to know what's going on in someone's head, and in fact, sometimes even our own. So, but what if I told you that I could explain all these behaviors with one single term? That term is reinforcement, or you can think of it as reward. The basic concept here is that people do things that they do because they get something out of it. They get rewarded. So, my boss yells at me whenever I do the smallest thing wrong because I give him my full attention, and I don't tend to make that mistake again. So, his behavior is rewarded. My coworker always talks to me because everyone else tends to avoid her, and I'm sitting there going, So, her behavior is rewarded. I don't wake up in the morning because I get to stay in bed for an extra 30 minutes. I don't get all hot and sweaty, and I don't get sore. So, in reality, my behavior is rewarded. Now, reinforcement or reward also helps explain why we do the things we do, because it's the basic concept of learning. Many of us here, coming to Toastmasters, went into our cars, and to turn on our car, we engaged in the behavior of putting the key into the ignition and turning it. Or if you have a smart car, you just press the button, which is pretty cool. It would be very, very odd if we got into our car, put our leg on the dashboard, honked the horn a couple times, and threw our keys out the window and said, I wonder why my car's not starting. We have learned that turning the key in the ignition gets our car to start because we've been rewarded in the past, over and over and over and over again, which is why we will continue to do that behavior to get a reward of turning our car on so that we can travel and whatnot. Now, this doesn't always work, as we've, I'm sure, all experienced. Sometimes we can engage in that behavior and we are not rewarded. Instead of a vroom, 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 when we turn the key into our car, we get met with a brrr. And it's not fun. Now, we can engage in that same behavior. We can turn the key over and over and over and over again, and we will never ever be rewarded with the car turning on. Instead, we now have to engage in new behaviors to get our car to start again. So we have to open the hood of our car or call AAA. And if you guys can remember the first time that this happened, it was probably a very stressful experience, because usually we are rewarded when that key turns. But this time we were not. But the next time, after maybe you call AAA and get your car fixed, maybe it's a dead battery or something, when your car doesn't start, you now have that past learning history of being rewarded by calling AAA, for example. Now, at this point, I'm sure most of you are saying, Trevor, this is all very nice to hear and it's very interesting, but what's in it for me? Like, who really cares about all this stuff? Well, 2 reasons. The first reason is that, again, it helps explain why people do what they do. So the next time you're wondering, why is that person acting so weird? Why are they doing something that I just don't understand? Remember, they're getting something out of it. Try to pinpoint it. And 2, using reward or reinforcement, we can get people to do what we want them to do. Now, this sounds like some mad scientist stuff right here, but trust me, People like reinforcement. They like being rewarded. It's a good thing. The problem really comes in the fact that society tends to never ever use reinforcement. All the time we look at behaviors we don't want to see and we punish. Hey, you did really bad in your grades today, so you are getting grounded, mister. And you over there, you haven't been doing a very good job at your job, so keep it up, buddy, and you're going to get fired. Or, hey, you know why I pulled you over? Because you were speeding. Here's a $200 ticket. Our society likes to punish the behaviors we don't want to see. And of course, it works, or else we wouldn't do it. But what if I told you you could get the same exact outcome, but use reward instead? Hey, you've been doing a really good job on your homework, and I really appreciate all the hard work you've been putting into your studies, so how about I take you out for ice cream? Hey, you've been doing a really good job at work. I know it's been really stressful, but I've really been seeing you put out there and working really hard, so you know what? You deserve a raise. Doesn't that sound good? And hey, you know why I pulled you over? Because you were driving so darn good. Here, have $10. Doesn't that sound great? Everybody would be much more happier with more reward and less of the other thing. So if you can take just one thing out of everything that I gave you today, remember the next time you see someone doing something that you don't want them to do, instead of telling them that, you don't do that. Instead, reverse it. Find what you want to see in the person and reward. The more reward, the more reinforcement you give for this behavior, the happier, the more motivated, and the more they'll do things for you, and they'll want to do things for you. And it's, in the end, everybody wins. Thank you so much.